All right, where do we go to see the live broadcast on the channel? Oh, here it is. Go live. Okay. All right, I think we're live now. Yep. Okay. It's
Okay,
about we're about to go live. Yeah. So,
let me know.
okay. Okay. So I see us on the screen. Okay.
Ready?
Yes, ready.
All right, welcome to my channel. Today I will be interviewing Kong and getting information on Buddhism. Welcome, Kong.
Hello, welcome everyone.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
um, let's see. Basically, I don't know. I've always felt that the society doesn't work properly the way it's supposed to, and I've always wondered if there was more to life than just working 9 to 5, and that being it. So, of course, when we hit that point, then we start searching for answers, to the questions that we have.
I agree with that. I always felt like there was more to life than just working 9 to 5. It feels like we need to be doing so much more to increase our spirituality.
Right. And I think that, yeah, I mean, once you hit that point, then and you start searching for answers, and then your wisdom starts growing, and it becomes really amazing. You get to meet all these people from the random people from the internet, and talk about things that we have in common, so that we can all grow together. Um,
Right.
I've been studying Buddhism for about, I don't know, 3, 4 years, 5 years maybe now, and there's just so many stories, that the Buddha had, and his own story of his last life was very interesting too. So, yeah.
So where do you go to research this information? Or what do you
Um,
find?
multiple sources, books. I read books. I watch YouTube videos, and I read articles on the internet. So, yeah, there's lots of resources, but uh, yeah, there's just a lot.
That's good because I think we need that. I think before the internet was invented,
Hmm.
it would have been a massive struggle to learn, except for like going to the library or buying books. So it'd be so difficult in the past and easier for the future,
Yeah.
or the present, I should say, in the future. So, do you know how Buddha started?
Uh, yeah. Well, uh, it actually, just so everyone knows. Sorry, I gotta look at the screen. Just so everyone knows, there has been more than one Buddha. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because the story goes is that our our last Buddha, he was in a previous life before he became the Buddha. He met another Buddha, his Buddha, and the Buddha had said that one day our Buddha would become a Buddha, and he did, right. Because at that time, in that lifetime, the our Buddha made an oath or an agreement to become the Buddha, a Buddha. So, um, that is how our Buddha came to be. So he, after that oath, or that promise that he made, he spent many lifetimes to cultivate all the morals that are needed to become a Buddha. Okay.
It's interesting.
Yes. The difference. There's two differences. Okay. The difference between an enlightened being and the Buddha is that the Buddha is a person who is enlightened but also teaches. There are many enlightened beings that do not teach.
Hmm.
Okay.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the story goes is that he the the Buddha was enlightened at the age of 35, and I believe he died at 81. So during that time, he only taught and talked about Buddhism, about
Hmm.
what he knew. He did not teach anything else. And during that time, he also, I believe, around over 1,000 people. He enlightened over 1,000 people
Wow.
because of his wisdom. That's how. That just goes to show how powerful it is. You
All
know
right.
that. You know how we have like so many. We're entrepreneurs or gurus or on the internet, how they have millions or thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that follow them. Yeah, that's
Right.
great. But what the Buddha did was very powerful, because he was a teacher of teachers, basically, is who he was. And he was able to help push people just a little bit further so they would understand enlightenment. And not only that, but the Buddha did become enlightened in his own way, and everyone else can become enlightened in their own way, in their own in their own suffering. They find enlightenment. Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, from the stories that I've read, men and women both became enlightened through their own individual suffering, or what they're going through. So it's not the path to enlightenment is not always the same. The goal is the same, but the actions that you need to take are they're all different.
Okay. And when
Yeah.
you say suffering, what do you mean in that category? The path to being enlightened, they had to do things that made them suffer, or is it suffering from their lives before their path?
Well, yeah, I should get into the Four Noble Truths, and then we'll get into that. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so that everyone kind of understands what it is. So Buddhism. Well, I mean, the Buddha did not teach Buddhism. He taught his philosophy that made sense. What he thought that the nature of reality was. Okay,
Okay.
and so the Four Noble Truths. The first one is that there is suffering in life. Not saying that life is suffering, but suffering does exist as long as you're alive and in a body.
All right.
All material bodies. Um, the second one is the cause of suffering. There are many causes of suffering, and that is the reason why we suffer, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we'll get into that too. Um, Number three is the cessation of suffering, basically meaning that there's a way to stop suffering, and this is what the Buddha teaches. And the fourth noble truth is the eightfold path, and what that is basically uh, eight different aspects of living your life in a way that is conducive to enlightenment.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, I have to find it here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can list it for your watchers. Yeah. Audience.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. But basically, some of them are a little bit easier to understand than others. But some of the wisdom aspects are a little bit deeper
Okay.
to understand, because it takes wisdom, and you have to you have to what's the word I'm looking for? You have to just learn. gain the wisdom. You have to cultivate the wisdom in order to
Okay.
understand what it is. Yeah. Um, okay. So the eightfold path is the right view, or right understanding, insight into the true nature of reality, right intention, the unselfish desire to realize enlightenment, right speech, using speech compassionately, right action, using ethical conduct to manifest compassion, right livelihood, making a living through ethical and non harmful means, right effort, cultivating wholesome qualities and releasing unwholesome qualities, right mindfulness, whole body and mind awareness, and the last one, right concentration, meditation, or some other dedicated concentrated practices. Now, the word right in this context means that um, it's from the view of Buddhism, okay,
Okay.
or the view that you with the view with the goal of ending the cycle of rebirth, okay,
Okay.
and so that is what that means in that context. So we will, let's see, yeah. So we'll go back to the noble truth and suffering.
Okay.
Um, let's see. Okay, so basically, the first one, uh, the that there is suffering. Yes. So the story goes is that our Buddha, his layperson life. Well, I mean, he was a prince in his last life, but um, being born a prince, he never got to see outside the palace walls,
Oh,
and
wow.
so one day he snuck out to see what it was like, right? And excuse me. There were four trips that he took, 3 or 4 trips that he took outside of the palace, and what he saw was aging, sickness, and death. Okay, and this is what suffering is, right?
All
Um,
right.
Regardless of who you are, whether you're rich or poor, whether you are famous or have very few things, we all are going through these, right? So in essence,
Mhm.
we're going through we're in the same boat, right? Because we all have aging, sickness, and death. And on the last trip out of his palace, he saw a monk, right? And that's when he started asking questions, and that's when his journey began.
That's
So
nice.
yeah. So basically, that's what suffering is. Is that suffering is also impermanence. So what that means is that, oops, camera
Oh.
fell over. Um, Basically, impermanence is a very important aspect to Buddhism to understand, as you learn about Buddhism and the nature of reality. Is that everything changes, right?
All right.
Our bodies change. Everything that is material changes, down to the atom, right? So um, that is something that is just intrinsic to what nature is, because everything wants to grow, right?
All right.
So everything wants to evolve. Even we do, right? Even plants and so everything goes from goes from something small like plants, then to animals, and then to eventually human beings, and maybe planets and solar systems, maybe, who knows.
Yeah, there's new planets being made all the time, from what I understand.
Yeah. So So nature is in constant movement, and so in a way it's beautiful, but it's also suffering too. Yeah, because then you never stay the same. Um,
Right.
the next the next truth is the second one. The cause of suffering, right? Now, what is that all about? And in a simple way, is just to describe it is just that desire is suffering, because a lot of desire that we have are selfish,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, it doesn't go along with nature,
Right.
because if you basically if you take more than what you need, then that's you're being greedy, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're throwing things out of balance. And so that's just one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is um, what is it? Either craving or attachment are also a big problem,
Mm-hmm.
because in the spiritual community, we talk about I am, right, and that we have that sense of I am, right, and
Right.
or the consciousness, or the watcher that's behind the body, right, the mind and the body, right, and so those that is what causes. I think not directly, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Is that when you have that sense of I am, and you want to be something, you want to do things, or you have cravings, or not. I mean, not just food, but that can be it. Cravings,
Yeah.
either sex, alcohol, or whatever it is that you're interested in. If and if you really really enjoy these things, then all as you see in our society, there's a lot of people that overdo it, and
Right.
it causes problems in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the idea behind the cause of suffering, is that basically many things are causes our suffering. Um, there definitely is more to it than that, but that's from what I understand. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And I would assume that it's similar to sloth, envy, lust.
yes,
It
correct.
seems to kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Um, and then number three, the end of suffering. Okay, is that there is a way to end the suffering, and basically the Buddha outlines it in the last noble truth, which is the actions that you need to take, or the way that you need to think in order to become a person that will let go of these negative
Mhm.
things, right?
Right.
And um, and then that leads to, yeah, the eightfold path, which is the last noble truth. And the basically, yeah, it's the eight things that you need to work on, and they're all interrelated.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things in Buddhism, they're all interrelated to make you a better person. Of course, you probably will be working on one thing at a time, and then kind of putting them together to live a better life. But
Right.
um, but yeah, there's so many great stories about about the Buddha and his past lives. It's just really amazing,
Right.
about and when you read about it, it's very inspiring,
Right.
and um, as we go through many lifetimes, the reason, well, the things that we learn, right, ultimately is unconditional love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that with the Buddha, and you read his stories, and you learn about the unconditional love that he has for all of life, and it's just so beautiful, because he understands why people suffer, and so
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't, or he helps them out, or he shows them a better way to think, and
Right.
that's exactly what he does, in his many lives, and um, even up until now, 2,500 years later, his teachings still affect us today.
It sure
It,
does.
it it shows us how to live a better life, to be a better person, and that's what is so amazing about it,
Mm-hmm.
because um, the fact that we are, we live many lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as we go through our soul journey, this is just one of the things that I think that we're all on a journey to become enlightened, but we're all just on different levels,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
and some of us are further along than others, and some people are just starting out or whatever,
Right.
and eventually everybody will meet an enlightened person, and that person will change their life,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's, like, let's say the average person, or average soul, lives billions of lifetimes. Eventually you'll meet an enlightened person, and they'll teach you something, and it will affect you on a soul level, that it will just change you to the core, and
Right.
that's what Buddhism is for me,
Mm-hmm.
uh, fundamentally. um, I want to talk about the precepts. I think it's very
Okay.
important. um, I think that there's good reason for it. I do practice the five precepts, and it's very similar to the commandments in Christianity.
Okay.
But what I like about it is that we understand a little bit more why we practice it, not just because it's good, and our God says that's what we should do.
Right. Yeah.
But basically, it comes down to uh, creating negative karma, or creating merit for yourself, is basically what it comes down to, right?
Okay.
And if you want to dig yourself a bigger hole, then you know, uh, re- don't do bad things, basically, right?
Right.
So I think that obviously the golden rule um, applies in this situation. Don't kill. There's a reason for that, you know. Um, in Secondly, don't harm. Um, the reason why we don't do that is because every being, no matter how small or no matter how big, that creature values its own life.
Exactly.
Yes, and we have to respect that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a bug, it's an ant, it's, I don't know, something you don't know what it is, we have to respect it,
Right.
because it's also a part of nature, and it also is trying to live out its own life the best way it knows how, even though
Mm-hmm.
it may be annoying, like a mosquito.
You want to kill them immediately.
Yes, but there are monks while they're meditating that will just let the mosquito suck their blood. So
Oh,
That's really, you think that's odd, right? But they have
I find it difficult.
right. It's very difficult for us normal people, but
Hmm.
the monks can endure it.
Wow,
Yes. So
that's
if you
interesting.
haven't heard of that, yeah. But yes, every creature values its own life no matter what, and so that's the reason why we don't kill or harm. Um, and so that's the basis behind that, because otherwise, there's no you don't have the wisdom, or even if you did have the wisdom, there's you don't you do not have the authority. Nobody has that authority. Okay,
Right.
and so that's the reason why. But secondly, no stealing. Okay, no matter how mundane the item is, but if it is not given to you, or if it is just, or if you know for sure that it's been abandoned, right? Then that is the time when you can take it or receive it. Okay. Otherwise, it will create uh, negative karma or
Right.
sins, right? Because no matter how special or not special the item is, it still holds value to the person that owns it, right?
Hmm.
And so there are stories that are interesting that go with that too. But I can't think of any off the top of my head. But um, the next one, no intoxicants. This one's kind of is very important because basically you want to stay, you want to have your whole mind while you're making decisions, living your life. Because when you're under the influence of any kind of drugs, then how can you make the best decisions, right?
Right.
And you may make decisions that you will regret later. So
Right.
this is the reason why it's not good to you know and I don't know if it applies to I don't know if it applies to like marijuana and things like that, but I think it does. um,
Okay.
but for sure alcohol.
Okay. Because alcohol, it does harm your thinking process. But then when you said marijuana, I thought, well, that's a herb. It was put here on earth, so you question that. But it does alter your mind also.
Yes, because the thing is that the Buddha was able to attain this wisdom, right? And he didn't use any intoxicants. So that is why it makes sense to follow in his model.
Right.
Because no one ever, I mean, yeah, you can gain insight, yes, maybe through psychedelics and whatever, but
Hmm.
never through the level that he has, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that is the reason why, or taking a shortcut is not going to gain you permanent results, right? And so
No.
that's another reason why not to do it. The fourth one is no adultery. Basically, just very very bad sin. Uh, you know, just if you're not in a good relationship, you're not happy, either work it out or leave. Okay,
Hmm.
um, it's just that simple.
Right.
So there's no reason for cheating to go be going on around, because in the end, everyone just gets hurt, and you feel bad. And uh, I think you need to take the higher road, and just say,
Hmm.
hey, it was a good run, thanks, So
Yeah.
that's how I feel about that. And because I'm sure you've heard of many stories of people doing these kinds of things, and a lot of bad things happen. And just understand that it will affect you in a negative way,
Hmm.
and it will affect the person that you're cheating on in a negative way too.
Right.
So yeah, so it's that's why it's very bad to do that. But um, and then the last one, let's see, no killing. I think no lying. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, lying, of course, as you know, is not good, because then you have to create more lies and more lies to
Hmm.
cover up your lies. So it gets out of hand, and eventually they'll find out the truth anyways, right?
Mhm.
So,
We
so
always do.
yeah. So it's better to just speak the truth, because then you don't have to keep anything secret, right?
Yeah.
And so uh, that is the reason why it if you're truthful, then it creates good energy for you. Yeah.
Right.
And so I've taken the I don't know oath to practice these um, precepts every day.
Hmm.
But the ordained monks, they have 226 rules that they have to follow.
Oh my.
Yeah, and so it's pretty extreme, I would think. For the average person, that they have to follow 226 rules.
Hmm.
Being in a monastery, but I guess it's good training. I guess that's the
Yeah.
reason why they have it, so it can train your mind. Since we've gotten so used to having such nice things in the modern society.
Right.
So if you ever want to be a monk, get ready.
Oh, you're in for a call. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's
should
a
be
it's a big
difficult.
wake up. Yeah, big wake up for sure. But yeah, I don't know these stories that the Buddha tells us. All these moral stories of why we shouldn't do certain things is all because of that. Because the certain actions just create certain results, and the
Hmm.
Buddha was able to see this. And the interesting thing about that is that the not only was he wise, but he could see into people's past lives to understand why they have the same problem that they do today, right? Just as
Wow.
just as in the way that Dolores Cannon teaches and how we can regress people back to the same problem that they had in previous lifetimes, but he has that he has it on tap basically to understand.
Right.
Oh, in this lifetime you still had this problem when I saw
Hmm.
you at that time, and it has you haven't grown from that. so so that is the what's powerful about who he was,
Right.
is that he could address your problems, and explain exactly why you still have the problems that you do, because you have a certain attachment or desire that's causing your suffering.
Hmm.
You see how that kind of works out? Yeah. And
Yeah.
so that's just what was amazing about him and his wisdom, and that's what separates him from other average people, is that he was able
Right.
to articulate those things, and be humble about it, and show people a better way to live. So, do you have any more questions?
Can you imagine if everybody on this world was taught this, how happy and easy and anger free would be? It'd be amazing.
Yeah, I think that a lot of us are running away from being poor, and
Yeah.
so we we cover that up, our time and our energy, to run away from being poor.
Hmm.
And what I would like to say is, how can monks be happy with very few things, and yet modern people have hundreds of things, and yet they're not happy.
Exactly.
Figure that out.
Yeah. It's because they keep wanting.
Yes, because if you're not happy with what you already have, as the saying goes, then you're not going to be happy with more stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that is the reason why we suffer.
Hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
So I also, I think it was a monk on YouTube, which you would think monks couldn't do YouTube, but oh well. But he had stated that monks eat once a day. Is that right?
Most monks, yes. Depends on the temple you're at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they carry it in a container, right, with them wherever they go?
Yeah. They carry their alms bowl generally, unless if they. I mean, because the thing was that the Buddha during his time he didn't have a temple, right? So they were just wanderers. They would just walk around with their alms bowl, going from city to city, and during the day they would stay in the forests. Okay, but now that we've modernized it, where we have temples and places of worship, that they just stay at their temple during the day, and then they from what I understand they try to eat before 12. So they'll go on their alms walk before 12, and then come back, and then they will distribute the food and let the monks pick first to eat, and then after that, then the lay people can pick their food to eat. And they're allowed to eat whatever they want. They're not
Well, that's
restricted.
fair.
Yeah, there's no restriction on diet. Yeah, they can eat meat. They can. I mean, obviously not drink alcohol, but.
Oh yeah, no.
They're allowed to eat. Basically, there's no like amount that you're limited to eating. You just eat until you're full. And some temples allow you. I don't know how to explain it. Things to how do they word it? Things to engage your mouth. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but like
Right.
some temples allow you like seaweed, or sunflower seeds,
Oh yum.
or tea. Yeah, or tea during the day. Um, I mean, it's not. Obviously, it's not a full meal or anything like that, but you are allowed those in some temples, depending on what country and all those kinds of things. Yeah.
And their attire, their I don't know if you'd call it a robe, but the wrap they put on,
Hmm.
they have to wrap it on their body a certain way, right?
Yeah, that again, it depends on the temple. Some of them
Okay.
are, some of them, yeah, you have to wrap it, but some of them you just wear like normal clothes. Yeah, so
Okay.
more or less normal clothes.
All right.
Yeah,
And it wasn't odd that you said that they stay in the forest because they're in nature, and that's where we're supposed to do is go out on nature so we can ground ourselves and feel vibrations from everything, the trees and all that too. So that was amazing that they do that.
yeah, for sure. Yep, and and especially yeah, I mean, in being in forest, there's all sorts of animals and things that most people would be scared of, but
Yeah,
um, that's one of the trainings that the monks have to go through is to
nice.
face the fact that they could get eaten up, and that their death
Yeah,
is around can be around the corner. But it's a whole lesson in itself, you know,
right.
to still have compassion for these animals that might eat you up. So yeah,
I agree. Yeah. So I have a couple of questions from Reva,
sure.
and she said, what is the Buddhist view about the oversoul and how are we all connected?
That I'm not sure how to answer that properly. Um, I don't. There's a lot of stuff that the Buddha did not teach that we quote talk about in the modern spiritual community,
Right,
and the reason why there are things that spiritual things that the Buddha doesn't talk about because it doesn't lead to enlightenment. If it
right.
doesn't lead to enlightenment, he doesn't talk about it. Okay.
Well, I would assume that because our oversoul is like our soul connected to every soul, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It seems like it would fit right into his teachings. And yeah, and she asked, how are we all connected? I think it's that way. Our soul's connected to all the other souls because we're one.
Well, we're all. I would say the way in which we're all connected is that it goes back to just samsara itself, the cycle of
Right.
rebirth, because
Right.
eventually we see each other at one point or another. So
Yeah.
because because if we're eternal souls that live many different bodies, right? We
Mhm.
eventually see each other, and so that's how we're connected.
During hypnosis, it's a fact that when we do cross over, that we know everybody up there or wherever. We just know each other, and it's crazy how that happens.
Yeah.
Her next question is, what is the Buddhist view of Shambhala, and how do you feel about its connection with 5D?
Um, I haven't read anything about that, but you know, in the in in the Buddhist philosophy, there are many great realms. They use the word realms, and I'm not sure exactly what that means, but there are many realms that are inhabited by beings, right? And from uh, what is the word that they use? I can't remember, but they have celestial realms, and then they have lower realms, which
Right.
might be regarded as hell realms where people suffer a lot, or
Right.
being suffer. But so I'm sure that there is a city where benevolent beings dwell that exists, that's very similar to what she's talking about. Yeah.
Right.
They
Yeah.
make there's a political structure of some kind there, and they these leaders, they have jobs to do, and
Right.
yeah, and they can delegate work to other spiritual beings, and I think that, yeah, that I'm sure that more than one of those exists somewhere out there, whether
Right.
we're aware of it or not.
Right.
Um, there is something I want to say that just came up during the Buddha's lifetime, and I don't know if any other being can do this, but only generally I think it's only when a Buddha is born that this happens. So it's very rare that it happens. But
Hmm.
when the Buddha was alive, he was able to make all beings from every realm or whatever see each other.
That's amazing.
Yes. So
Wow.
when you're talking about densities or dimensions,
Mhm.
we all vibrate at different rates. So we're not able to see each other. But he was able to make it so some beings can see each other from different densities, or different realms, or different whatever you want to call it. And so having that power is just really amazing. And
Right.
not only that, but another thing that he was able to do was he was able to travel to other realms in his physical human form, and not a lot of beings can do that,
Right.
because normally you would have to astral travel, right, with your astral
Hmm.
body, but he was able to do it with his physical body.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what that means, but so
Yeah.
that just shows you how much wisdom he had, so that he
Hmm.
was able to travel in his full body. But yeah, so there's so many, like I said, there's so many great stories. Just like reading about every story about his past lives, and how he attained enlightenment, and
Hmm.
what led to that. It's just like I said, it's very inspiring, and it just makes you want to become a better person just by reading his story, and
Right.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how that relates to um, other religions, but it's just for me it was very inspiring, and it kind of sucks because, like, it's difficult to be uh, I don't know, have such high morals in this society,
Right.
yeah.
I agree
That's why,
completely.
yeah, that's why I feel like things are so backwards. They're not. They don't go together. They're not congruent. If you look around and
Hmm.
think about how our society works, a lot of things are backwards, and
Yeah.
so that's why I mean, suffer more than we need to, right?
Yes.
because of
Yeah.
because of the way that things are structured, and but we do what we can. Oh yeah, I want to talk about this too. So um, it's just cultivating the goodness of the good things about being a human, and refraining from the bad things, right?
Right.
And of course, the good things are generosity, compassion, kindness. Um, what else? There was one more, but basically all the good things, right? He
Mhm.
that we all know, is to cultivate those so that it will bring you more of those good things. Okay, and refrain from greed, ignorance, and hate and delusion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some of those things you can't control, but um, and that's where wisdom comes in, right? Is
Hmm.
to understand why you should not cultivate the negative things and why you should cultivate the positive things,
Right.
because it will lead to more positive things. Um, and so we all have different levels of those things inside of us. Um, but just be aware of them, and just try to, like I said, just try to cultivate the good aspects of being a human, right? So that
Right.
we can I don't know, live better. And the thing is that the good that you do for yourself, or the good that you are, is good for the world. You understand?
Right.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because then how can that harm anyone else, right? If you're just being an awesome person and you're not out to hurt anybody, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way it should be. Okay. One more question. What is the Buddhist view on shadow work, and view how does that view incorporate it? I can't even talk. Incorporate it into life for balance.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things, lot about shadow work, but in a Buddhist terms, I guess. Yeah, there
Yeah.
definitely is. Yeah. Um, but a lot of it stems to back to just patterns, and breaking out of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I would
uh,
agree.
yeah. Because really, what you really need to do is just pay attention to what's happening and
Hmm.
understand what's causing it. You know, because obviously we all have things that we work on from lifetime to lifetime, and um, if we take time to pay attention to why that keeps happening and what's the cause of it, we can definitely change it. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, um, it I don't know. It just it goes really deep. I don't know. I'm sure that some of the elder monks, they would have a lot of deep words to say, um, but yeah, I think it just let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but um, that I think it reminds me of a sutra that he talks about. It's called the Heart Sutra, or the Diamond Sutra, and it's actually several paragraphs long, but there's one line that just I remember, and it is that emptiness is form and form is emptiness. Okay, and when I first, for me, it was very when I first heard that sutra, I actually cried, and I don't understand why, because
Oh.
it was very powerful for me, um, it must have had some kind of impact on me in a previous life, and
Right.
so that's why I was very emotional about it. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, what that man that sutra is saying is that n- everything is made from something else, and you are not who you think you are, or things are not what they think they are. So
Right.
uh, basically, that's what it is. So there's more to it, but in a material sense, that's kind of basically what it means, right? That we are made up of smaller things, and yet we're also a part of a bigger thing, right?
Right.
So there's no one thing that is truly itself if you really think about everything, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
humans make up this planet, and this planet makes up this solar system, and this solar system makes up the galaxy, and the galaxy makes up the universe. So
Exactly.
there's no thing that is actually just made up of that one thing. So
Mm-hmm.
everything is made of smaller things. So this is what he understood, and he
And it's correct.
yes, in that sutra he goes on to say that the same thing is true for feelings and emotions um, and the non-physical stuff too. That
Right.
all those things are not what they appear to be, basically, you know. And so, yes, we may feel them, we may experience it every day. You know, some people more than others, more strongly than others, but there's they they just are what they are. Is basically
Right.
what he was saying. Yeah.
Do
So,
you think that the Buddhist was able to manifest things?
oh yeah, for sure. Yep. There are people that can do it, but
The reason why I ask is because it would seem it would fit along of what's the word? Breaking one of the rules of trying to receive something that he, doesn't like greed.
yeah.
Let's just
The
say.
reason why they don't do that is because it has to do with it has to do with being humble. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if they were just to, make a bunch of gold out of nothing, that's and to use it, that would be
Hmm.
selfish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah. That would be
Okay.
selfish. So that's the reason why they don't do it. And the reason why they don't show off powers and things like that, like flying
Hmm.
and uh, whatever else kind of superpower they might have, is that it goes back to selfishness. Because when you're doing that, you're doing it for show, and when you're doing for show, then you're out of line in the morals, and so that's the reason
Just
why
like
they don't do it.
ego.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, that
So
makes sense.
yeah, and so that's why they have to refrain from doing that. I guess only in extreme cases, but even then, it's up to them. Yeah. So,
Right.
but yeah.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Okay, I think that's all my questions. You covered a lot of stuff.
There's so much more. Yeah. Um, I'll be posting I don't know, stories that I read on my Facebook page once a week, and um, I'll try to I'll try to if whatever pages I follow, if they have good uh, Buddhist related information, then I'll have it on my page, and feel free to check it out, and feel free
Tell
to
them how
add
to
me.
get to your. Sorry.
Feel free to add
Tell
me
them.
on Facebook if you want. Kong Lee, picture with the little what's his name,
That's
Cumberbatch.
your. Oh.
Yeah, as the what is it? What's the name of Doctor Strange? Right, he's Doctor
Yeah.
Strange, and Doctor Strange did have the time stone, which allowed him to control the time. And the reason why I have him on there is because we're all time travelers. So
Yeah. I would agree with that statement too.
so
Do
that's
you think that
yeah.
some of our movies are tied in with us here on Earth? Do you think that some of this is that well the let's just say the supernatural or the multiverse, which I do know there's a multiverse, but it all fits in movies recently. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, in my view, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Everything is energy, and if energy vibrates at different rates, then you'll get different densities and different
Hmm.
dimensions and realms and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So that those people, those beings can learn together. Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting.
hmm
Okay. Do you have anything else you'd like to talk about right now before we go?
Um, I mean, I think that's good for this episode. There's a lot to digest.
Right.
Like I said, I think we're all on the same journey. The same
Yeah.
results. I mean, same. We're all on the same path, same journey, but we're all just on different levels. So
Right.
that's one of the things that I've learned about having understanding past lives and reincarnation is that you must have compassion for all beings,
Hmm.
because just because you don't understand exactly what they're going through, and to just have compassion and to hold space for them, um, and to have generosity, because if we're gonna be going through this cycle many more thousands of times, you
Hmm.
want to cultivate merit or good karma, right?
Right.
And the only way to do that is if you, during each lifetime, you give, right?
Hmm.
You give your time, energy, or money or materials, so that we can all do better in the next lifetimes. And so that's the
Right.
reason why I try to refrain from doing negative things to or bad things to people, because
Hmm.
you don't know when it's going to come back to you in a future life or future date. And so
Right.
that's kind of how I view it, right?
Hmm.
Because when you think in terms of that long of a time, right? Which we will live like that, then it makes you think very differently, and it impacts you differently. Yeah. And
It
so that's
does.
and that's what I've learned about past lives. Yeah. So
That's interesting. I would love to know more about my past lives. And I have channeled information from my guides and being hypnotized. I've only been on Earth like a few times, and it was a time of need in Earth for Earth. And that was I went to Egypt, and I communicated with the aliens there, Lemuria, Atlantis, and now here for the awakening.
yeah.
So yeah, it's funny how Earth struggles in random times, and it calls for help. That's interesting for me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's our duty to come and help. You know,
Yes.
because like I said before, is that the beings that have already gone through ascension and that are coming back to help, it's just going
Hmm.
to be more merit, more good karma for them,
Yeah.
because that's just the process of learning for both people, right?
Right.
The people going through it and the people that are giving the help, right?
Right.
And so more great things will happen, uh, you know, after the ascension,
Hmm.
because of our cosmic brothers and sisters are here to help. So
Right.
I think that's really amazing that they're I feel like they're doing the right thing, uh,
I agree.
to help us. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Do you have anything inspiring to say about my to my subscribers?
Inspiring.
Yeah.
Something that is in that's short. Can't think of anything off the top of my head, but the thing is that the path of enlightenment, that this journey that we're all on, is an amazing journey. It's but in the end, when we all become enlightened on our own time, we will
Hmm.
understand the struggles that we've been through, that was worth it.
Right.
because there was no other way for us to learn as a soul in order to understand um, what this particular universe is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, these non-physical beings, they're just waiting for us to
Mm-hmm.
graduate, to
They
congratulate
are.
us. They are. And so for us it might seem like many millions of lifetimes, but to them it's not. It's a very short time.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Because time
so
doesn't exist for them. That's interesting.
yeah.
So, yeah,
What I would say that I learned this year is that please have compassion for yourself. That's the thing that we forget.
of course. Because
Because,
we're always busy helping other people.
yeah, right. Have compassion for yourself. Know what you need, and give yourself space that you need to, so that you can recharge and continue to do what you need to do to give, to love, and to be there for the family that your family that needs you. So that's what I would say, because with everything that's going on in the world, people have forgotten um,
Mm-hmm.
how to do that, and and to yeah, and to yeah, just remembered how to love yourself. It's and or maybe if you don't know, then figure it out.
Yeah,
Figure
you
out
can
what
search that.
figure out what is it that you need to love yourself better. How can you
Mm-hmm.
love yourself better? Because that's something that we have to do through our whole life, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
because you are stuck with you, so if you can find a way to love yourself, then that will make you a happier person, and if you understand, deeper levels of wisdom, how to do that, then that's what's going to help you on your journey.
Yeah,
So,
and they can help other people on that journey.
correct. Yeah. So that's what I would say for these closing words.
That was very interesting. Okay, and we'll do a future interview or more in the future when and if you, well, I know you will get more information on Buddha and you want to talk about him and his religion. If you want to call it a religion.
It's not really a religion. It's a
Yeah,
philosophy, I would say.
yeah, that fits. All right, thank you for letting me interview you today.
All right, thank you. I was glad to do the interview. I'm always happy to talk about Buddhism because it just it affected me so deeply, and so I just
Mm-hmm.
wish that everyone could learn all the wisdom for themselves, and we could be much
Right.
happier, but like I said, so yeah.
Well, thank you. I
Thank
hope
you.
everybody has a good day, and I'm sending you love, light, and peace.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have an awesome day.
Bye.